Sup? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today, and with me I have some more RPG horror stories. Really strange question. What are your thoughts on feral tieflings or tiefling variant? Most of my friends usually like the tiefling variant and they typically pick the one that lets you fly. I'm kind of attached to Hellish Rebuke as part of my Infernal Legacy feature. Imagine getting hurt by something, somebody taps you on the shoulder and you go, ow, Hellish Rebuke. Bleh. It's almost like go, ow, screw you, buddy. Anyway, enough talk about Infernal Legacies and stuff. Let me know what you think about variant tieflings and tieflings in general. I'm gonna get to the first RPG horror story for today. I don't know how to leave. Okay, this is the first table I've played at. This wasn't with family. So the first few months, every red flag was played off in my head as maybe this is normal for D&D and I just didn't know it. However, things seem more and more unstable or unhealthy to me. At least they're affecting me so much that I wonder if it really is normal. It all started when I addressed the issue that the DM was having pretty intense arguments or disagreements with a significant other at the table during the sessions. I addressed it in a direct but not accusatory or rude tone, and it kind of got better. However, it was played off by them as them being together for so long, and that's the way they operate. I've been with my partner for 13 years and we don't speak to each other this way. But I digress. Ooh, that's not a good look. If you as a DM can't have a proper conversation with your player that's also your partner and everything has to divulge into like screaming and argument and disagreements and like grouching with each other, and that's the only way y'all operate, I think there's kind of a deeper issue there, if anything, because most people you can just talk normally without yelling and screaming at each other about how dare you take my porridge or whatever the argument is about. I don't know. Screaming at a table at somebody, whether it be a player or significant other or whatever, is just not good because you have other people there. It's just really awkward. Then you shouldn't have a screaming match. I get discussing things or just, trying to talk things out, but if you're just screaming and yelling and arguing at the table, it just makes everybody feel awkward and unwelcome. And I mean, I'll probably want to leave the room like that. I'm not cool with that, Then after this, it seemed like everything I do or say is construed in a rude or ill-intended manner by the DM. Then in turn, they respond to everything I do or say in a passive-aggressive, more aggressive way. And when I try to discuss it because it really affects me negatively, they blamed it on my alleged rudeness and their mental health issues. I myself have mental health issues, but I don't ever use them as a reason to hurt people. Maybe when I was a teen I did, but not anymore. Not that I'm better than them, it just seemed odd to me. That's a really weak defense. I get to be rude to you and be passive-aggressive because mental health. No, you don't. Just be courteous and nice. Like, mental health is not an excuse to just be a jerk to somebody. I get there can be sometimes bouts of rudeness and things like that, and everybody has their own troubles, their own challenges to fight. Everybody has their own battles they gotta deal with. But that doesn't mean you just get to do whatever you want because mental health. If you can't be nice to somebody, then just don't say anything at all. Simple as that. Even through your battles, you should still find a way to treat your people at the table, your players as a DM, with courtesy and kindness. If there's a problem with a rude player coming off rude, talk to them about it. Don't respond with passive aggressiveness and being rude in general. You don't make things better by being passive aggressive and argumentative. But I think this DM is only knows argumentative because they argue with their significant other, they argue with a player, they'll probably continue arguing till the cows come home, and the cows will never come home. I just don't know what to do. I become close with one member of the group, and our characters are even connected, and I feel so guilty if I quit. I dread the thought of going, and I feel like no matter what I do or say, nothing really gets resolved, and the blame is just put back on me. I'm a busy parent who struggles with chronic illness, etc., etc., and I feel like this is draining the little spare energy I have. Like, why am I still doing this? I have no idea. I'm scared of losing my player who's my friend and causing issues. I just don't know what to do. Here's what to do. Ask yourself genuinely, do you want to stay in this game? Do you want to deal with the DM like this? After all the talk and conversation, do you really want to continue dealing with this? Exchange contact information or add the player that you want to actually communicate with on Discord or whatever you use, and then leave the game. Find a different game with that other player, maybe something that you both can play together as different characters. Start brand new characters. Start your own game and have the player join in if they want to. Just because you're leaving the game doesn't mean you're going to leave that specific player out and just never going to see them again. I mean, I understand some situations where situations like that can happen, sure, like people get attached to the game and if player leaves they basically lose all attachment, But you can still like add them on Discord and still hang out with them afterwards outside of game, maybe in a different game, maybe join another TTRPG together and something, I don't know. But before you quit, really ask yourself, really consider, is it worth the argument and seeing the people fight at the table, making things awkward, and the passive aggressiveness because apparently you're being rude and you're the problem all the time? Is it really worth it? If you ask me, I would say no, and I would highly encourage you to just leave the game. Player 1 stopped talking about sex after finding out my sexuality. This is a long story that might require a sexual content warning. I'm gonna try my best to not go into too much detail, but I still want to give a fair warning. I've been playing D&D for years now, and I've become accustomed to playing online. However, the campaign was put on hold while our DM dealt with creative burnout, taking a brief hiatus. And my D&D addicted brain had nothing to do with my free time, so I started looking around for in-person groups. Took a while, but I eventually found one in my city with some people around my age. I thought this was great, and joined with a changeling bard. I played this character because I liked the idea of a performer that could change their look and match any role they needed, changing their appearance if they sang songs in different languages, or when they told stories that could actually change into the people they were pretending to be. Well, the problem player, who I'll just call Rogue, thought I did this for another reason. In session 1, they made a comment about how my bard could be anyone's wildest sexual fantasy. Okay. They were playing into the stereotype of bards being sexual, but whatever, not a big deal. The DM started having a male NPC that was in the tavern start flirting with my character, but when I had her act aloof, quickly had the character take the hint and ended with her attempting to teach him how to play her lyre. Despite the talk being friendly, Rogue kept insisting my bard was going to get some tonight. When my bard didn't go upstairs with the man, Rogue questioned this, seemingly completely confused. She's not interested, I told him. "Oh, I get it. You playing a lesbian." He said this as if it made perfect sense. "No, she's not interested in women either. She's asexual," I explained. Rogue and a few other players, the cleric and wizard, questioned what it was, and I basically gave a brief explanation that she doesn't feel sexual attraction. Cleric seemed confused, but didn't question it, and wizard accepted the answer with no hesitation. Rogue, however, acted as if I made my character this impossible sexuality for other reasons, questioning if I had done this because I was trying to be one of those players that was trying to avoid the horny bard meme. I think you can make your character whatever you want to be. Whatever you decide for your character is whatever you want to do, as long as it doesn't affect any mechanical part of it, or it has certain mechanical caveats that you and the DM are okay with. So if you want to make an asexual character, go for it. Do whatever you want. It's a game of fantasy. It's a game of make-believe. Make whatever character you want to make. I don't know what he meant by one of those players, but I explained to him that I just made my character the same sexuality as myself. Rogue suddenly got excited as he immediately had his character go up to mine, questioning why she didn't go chase her man, and started explaining in detail the most anime-styled sex scene they could have possibly have, which involved Rogue mentioning how she could do things like turn her arms into tentacles. Changelings? Wait, can changelings do that? Wait, can changelings do that? I don't think so, right? Adma Bart said she simply wasn't interested and tried excusing herself from this awkward situation. Wizard and Cleric remained silent, and the DM tried moving past Rogue's antics, cutting him off as he continued the session. The game itself was pretty much that. I loved Wizard and Cleric characters, and the DM was great at world building in this homebrew setting. I don't know if DM had a conversation with Rogue on the side or not, because he didn't say much for a few sessions, but the moment my bard got to talking to anyone, Rogue instantly started making jokes about the two getting together, saying sexual things. I tried brushing it off, thinking that maybe if I didn't bring it up, the joke would eventually become boring. However, apparently, according to Rogue, my facial expression when he would bring this stuff up was priceless, and enough for him to continue. After the third or fourth time of this, I finally questioned why Rogue kept doing this, as it was starting to get on my nerves. I couldn't have a normal NPC reaction with him yelling at my character to turn into a short stack with huge tits or large woman with skill-crushing thighs. I didn't mince words, I told him, it's annoying that I can't keep a normal conversation with someone. Rogue laughed and said he did it because he thought my reactions were funny. My reactions of shock and disgust were funny to him. I told him why I found it annoying, mostly that I didn't like him continuously bringing up my sexuality. It wasn't relevant to anything my character was doing. I made a comment about how it's irrelevant because my character never flirts with anyone, so I was the one reminding everyone that she was asexual. Wizard made a brief comment about how little sense this makes, So what? If a straight or gay character constantly doesn't flirt with everyone, is that reminding everyone of their sexuality every time? It turned into a heated debate that I mostly tuned out. DM ended up ending the session early and I packed up my things, heading home with a sour taste in my mouth. You know, sometimes you just don't need to flirt. Simple as that. Sometimes a party member just wants to just exist without flirting. Maybe they are into dudes, or into girls, or into succubi ladies and from land of Succulandia, but sometimes it's just not part of the character to flirt. Morrow is not the kind of person to flirt. He would have no idea what to even do in a flirting situation. He'd just be like, can I get you a drink? That's it. That's as far as it would go. Even though he's a charisma caster, Morrow has no res. He can lie his way out of a sex dungeon, but he can't persuade his way into a sex dungeon, if you know what I mean. Actually, do I even know what I mean? What I mean by that? Anyway, let's ignore it and continue. I'd hoped everything would blow over my next session, and maybe Rogue was embarrassed enough to stop this nonsense after Wizard DM argued about the flaws in his logic when it came to the idea of my sexuality, which he claimed I was the one bringing it up by playing that type of character in the first place. That makes no sense at all. Hey guys, I'm bringing up the fact that I'm playing as a straight tiefling character when I'm playing as Morrow. Look at me, being straight. Whoa. That makes no sense at all. This guy's logic is just bass-ackwards. You know, actually, I'm reminded of this one southern word that describes this perfect. This guy's logic is catty-wonkus. If you don't know what catty-wonkus means, then welcome to American Southern lingo. Basically means it's bass-ackwards, ass-backwards, whatever. Basically means they're all kinds of twisted and screwed up and messed up. However, next session started with Rogue talking to my character as they walked along the road, and he started having the birds and the bees talk with her. No, I'm sorry. He started describing the way sex words as if this was an anime scene. No, he wasn't a weeaboo or your stereotypical neckbeard. He was actually pretty muscular and gave off a weightlifter type. I told him to cut it out of character and had my bard walk ahead of him. DM tried moving on, describing the scene as my character moved away from him. I could see DM giving Rogue a look that silently read, "Stop it, or you're about to get the boot." He had his rogue run up to her and put his arm around her, describing all the different things could turn into, saying that she would be some guy's personal harem, 20 different girls in one. Who wouldn't tap that? And then made some kind of a weird moaning noise. What? No, I'm not making a moaning noise. No, I'm not gonna make a Fine. Nope. I stood up and started gathering my things. DM started going back and forth between Rogue and I, yelling at Rogue and how he was about to get kicked while trying to get me to stay at the table. I told DM I couldn't deal with this, that this drew a line and I was too uncomfortable with the situation to continue. I thanked him for running the game, apologized for leaving like this, and packed up the rest of my things. Rogue was sitting there silently, but it looked like he was actually angry, glaring at me as if I had done something to him. DM fumed silently for a brief moment until I started zipping up my bag. Once I was leaving the room, DM turned to Rogue and told him to start packing up his things because once he was sure I was in my car safely, he wanted him the hell out of his house. Which I appreciated. He waited to kick Rogue out, making sure we didn't leave together at the same time. I don't think Rogue would have tried something IRL, but I guess DM got an entirely different impression. I received text messages from the DM the next day, apologizing for not kicking Rogue sooner. Apparently Rogue was his cousin and had initially been afraid of his family giving him crap if he kicked him out of the game, since he expected Rogue to go around changing the details in the story to make himself look like an innocent angel. I felt bad for the DM. I knew he was in a tough position, and with me thinking Rogue wasn't going to be there, I came back to the table. For the next few months, everything was great. I even continued playing when my online group started back up because of how much fun I was having. We added a new player, another bard to our group. The two of us became nearly instant best friends and rivals in game, constantly trying to outdo each other in performing in fun, competitive ways. Everything was great. Until Rogue had apparently found out I was still in a campaign because one day he drove past DM's house and saw my car. Next thing I know, Rogue is dropping in every time he sees my car outside. DM even tried switching the times, but we couldn't exactly hide my car because everyone else either walked to DM's house or didn't have a car of their own. No one could pick me up. And probably this communist thing Rogue did. After the first initial time he did this, DM asked him to leave. So Rogue started making sure to at least bring one other cousin of his and DM's over, and you'd expect. Rogue would make comments about the two female bards sleeping with each other. Sometimes he'd even get whoever he brought in to join in, making moaning noises whenever our characters would share moments with each other, or perform together, or yelling things for our characters could do to each other. Some of them were as bad as, if not worse, than Rogue himself. There was a couple of times some of them would look uncomfortable and not say anything. I'm not sure if it was peer pressure or groupthink that got majority of them to play along with though. Dude, the guy sucks. Why is he being so toxic for no reason? But you know what the one thing DM could do? Lock the door. Just not open the door, not answer, just ignore it, just completely ignore it, not let the cousin in. Because clearly the guy is a disruption. If the guy is that much of a disruption, you just ask him to just get the hell out. Maybe even threaten police. You know what? At this point, I know it kind of sounds messed up to threaten police on your family, but sometimes if they're just never gonna stop annoying you and just being a constant disruption, if you have to do that, you have to do that. I feel bad for the OP though. I feel bad for the entire group because everybody is dealing with this. The DM is dealing with this, the OP is dealing with this, all the other players are dealing with this nonsense. Jesus Christ, why is this Rogue just one get a hint, just one f off already? The final straw was when, during one scene, the other bard had made mine a flower crown and ended up confessing her feelings. She actually had deeper feelings than I or my character expected. Before I could say anything, Rogue suddenly yelled out of DM's kitchen, "Scissor her!" causing the other degenerates with him to break into laughter as some of them started yelling different sexual things for them to do or degrading stuff. Why is the DM letting this guy into his house? Why? Just have the house locked. Don't let him in. Does he have a key? Ask for the key. If he doesn't want to give out the key, get the police involved. I don't know. Oh my god. This Rogue just won off already, dude. Jesus Christ. Other bard finally stood up, yelling how disgusting they were and that she wasn't going to continue playing if she had to deal with him before getting up, breaking all her dice and items into her backpack messily before she snatched her character sheet, nearly crumpling it as she left the house, slamming the door behind her. DM looked like he was about ready to pull his hair out. He had been placed in a position where he had to pick between causing family discords or saving his game. He saved himself the stress, and this was our last session in that campaign. Other bard had sent an apology text to everyone in our group, feeling guilty for the campaign ending. I told her it wasn't her fault and ended up explaining what had happened prior to her joining. While this didn't make her feel better, she still made it known she regretted her actions. She tried offering up her apartment as a place we could play, but DM declined. He had lost pretty much all motivation to continue this campaign. And that's how the campaign ended. Someone my character actually could have a romantic relationship with that would respect her boundaries unanswered. A declaration of love hanging in the air, while a yes was frozen in time on the other's lips. An extremely bitter ending. Edit. A lot of people are saying the DM sucked and he should have done more. While I do agree he could have done more, I don't blame him. Family stuff can be messy and he's probably been pushed around by Rogue all his life. I was also someone he knew less than a year, so I understand him not wanting to cause too much drama over the situation. Do I like it? No, but I understand it. I also don't know if Rogue would have necessarily tried anything with me that day. I don't know if Rogue had done something like this before, and that's why DM was weary. I'll probably never know the full details about it. I'm gonna go on the basis the DM knew what he was doing and he was just kind of looking out for you for your general safety and just not trusting the Rogue to do something. As far as locking the door, we tried that once. Not only did Rogue ring the doorbell non-stop because he knew DM was home because of the cars, but he also told his family about how cruel DM was for locking him out. Rogue brought over cousins and friends as witnesses for DM yelling at him or for overreacting about his so-called jokes. When the DM would ask them to leave or something to that effect, Rogue would innocently say stuff like they were just watching or wanted to see what happened, making things socially awkward and where DM would have to get downright nasty with Rogue to force him to leave, which Rogue would use as ammunition against him with the other family members. Ah, you're that kind of family member. DM, I am so sorry. When it comes to families like this, DM was in a tough spot. I wish he'd done more, but personally don't hold anything against him. It's easy to say what you should do unless you're in a situation with family drama. I'm no longer in DM's life, but Rogue is, and possibly always will be, even if he tries to cut him off. Regardless of family or not, here's my basis on toxic people, whether they're family or not. If there are toxic people, it is best to cut them out. As difficult as it would be, even if it's family. Anyway, I'm not gonna blame the DM for not doing more. They could have done more, but family drama is complicated. If you ever had this sort of situation where you're just stuck between a rock and a hard place and it's your family, it is so difficult to navigate, dude. It is so difficult to navigate and it's the worst. And it sucks the game ended, but hey, at least you got your online group to come back to, so you can play that and take this experience to heart. Maybe even take your asexual character and bring it to your online group. Either way, I'm sorry that happened, OP. For real. Jesus Christ, this Rogue character sucks, dude. Family drama sucks. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.